So when I was 20 years old, I found myself on the Greek island of Santorini, and I was recuperating from a shredded meniscus, my knee, and a couple broken ribs. And I developed my own recipe for recuperation. I took an early morning walk on crutches to a mountaintop cafe overlooking the entire Mediterranean. I read Homer's Odyssey, and I had a Greek omelet with the freshest of farm eggs. Now, this may seem like an idyllic setting, but the real story is how I got here. When I say Dalmatian, most people think of a spotted dog chasing a fire truck. I think of the Dalmatian coast of the former Yugoslavia, where I'm traveling with two friends in the 1970s version of a smart car, a coffee can of a car called the French Deux Chevaux. In the front seat sits Helene. She's French. Her buxom charms overflowing from her peasant blouse, threatening to breach the four walls of our tiny Deux Chevaux. Sadly, she's in the front. I'm in the back, but I'm in the middle of a unique time in my life. I am unencumbered. I am beyond my parents' expectations, before my own parental responsibilities, without debt, carefree, confident, alive. And with this euphoria comes an irrationally exuberant libido, which is why I'm traveling in this death trap of a car high up in the Montenegro Alps with a 4,000-foot death drop into the Adriatic on my right and a very unforgiving stone wall on my left. And sadly, Helene is still in the front seat, feigning indifference to my suggestions of liaison. That's a French word. To pass the time, we play the silliest card game imaginable. We assign animal sounds to face cards. So the first one to bark for a king or neigh for a queen wins the round. Now, Helene's way too handsome pretend boyfriend, Bruno, is driving, and he's losing. So he's spending lots of time looking at the deck of cards. When he cock-a-doodle-doos for the jack of spades, he wins the round, but he loses control of our little car, and it oscillates wildly between death over the cliff or mere destruction, the unforgiving stone wall. Fortunately, fate chose mere destruction. The car collides into the wall and collapses around us. Two of us are unscathed. The car and myself are significantly scathed. I've got a severe pain in my chest, and my knee is in a weird, contorted position. And somehow or other, I scramble out of the car, and I'm lying on the side of the road. Now, you have to remember, this is an era before cell phones, when you had to think and do something to get out of a difficult situation. So my two friends go off in opposite directions to get help. I'm lying on the side of the road. Some time goes by, and all of a sudden a rusty VW van shows up. Four large Yugoslavian men get out. They're speaking incomprehensible language. I later learn it's Romani, and despite my protests, they pick me up, put me in the back of the van, where there's a goat and two chickens who looked like they too had been picked up while lying on the side of the road. Now, they drive deep in the Montenegro Alps, way off the beaten path, and it dawns on me, my mom's worst fear was, I'm kidnapped by gypsies. Now, they keep driving, and they do not tell my fortune, but to my good fortune, they finally take me to a medical facility, and delightfully, it's an insane asylum. They drop me at the door. They bargain for money. I give them whatever I had. Four large Yugoslavian women in stained white lab coats lift me up, take me inside, put me on a gurney. They check my vitals. They give me some water. They bandage my ribs, which were broken. And unbeknownst to me, they decide to straighten my twisted leg. And I gather this from the deafening pop of my meniscus. Goodbye, meniscus. Hello, Achilles knee. And I'm alone. They transfer me to a crib because it's the only bed available, and they wheel me in to the main room of the asylum, which is very dark. It's stone walls. And I notice that there are bars on the windows, and I don't think they're there to keep me safe. And I gaze around at my cohabitants, and there's a large naked man with the genitalia of a water buffalo. And there's an older woman who's doing a vacant-eyed version of Leonard Cohen's Suzanne. And somehow or other, the sensory overload puts me into a deep sleep. And I wake up in the morning, I'm in the crib, and there's a young woman who's brushing my hair, I had long hair then, through the slats of the crib. And she's French, her name is Capucine. I speak some French, so she confirms this is the equivalent of a medieval insane asylum. No one speaks English, you can't make a phone call, and there aren't crutches. And she spends more and more time with me, and she feeds me grapes and Jell-O. And days go by, I'm mostly in the crib all the time, and every once in a while they check my vitals. I get to know the man with the large genitalia like a water buffalo. I get to know the woman that's doing Leonard Cohen's Suzanne. And time flows like a river. It's not broken into segments. And I get a fresh appreciation for Kafka. On day 5, Capucine, along with the grapes and Jell-O, I don't know how she got it, feeds me LSD. Under the circumstances, it seemed like an entirely appropriate activity. I spent a lot of time doing SOS Morse code with my teeth. On day 7, my friends finally find me. They pay my medical bill, they bring me crutches, and they tell me they're going to whisk me off to Santorini to recuperate. And it's time to bid goodbye. And I've bonded over the last 6-7 days. I'm friends with the large guy with the naked guy with the gigantic genitalia. And it comes time to say goodbye to Capucine. And it's sad. And she gifts me with an abundant quantity of LSD, which made my recuperation on Santorini memorable, yet just about completely unrememberable. Thank you.